I wanted one place that I could go to understand every game on every slate instead of having 10 different tabs open. Inside DataStreak, we created an NBA game dashboard, so you have every single thing in one place. In a few seconds, I'm gonna show you how I use this as my starting point each day to get a nice view of the slate and see where I might be able to get an edge based on a variety of different factors inside. So let's hop over to my screen and I will show you how the NBA game dashboard works. All right, I'm inside the NBA game dashboard. I'm gonna show you how you can look at this and use it each and every single day. So each day you're gonna have cards with the games going on. We're in the NBA play-in tournament, so there's only 2 games to look at, but normally it'll be filled with games and you can click through and look at each one. So you can click on the card you want to look at, but for this example, we're going to look at the Hornets and Magic game. So if you want to click on any team card at any point, you can up here or here, and you just click. It'll take you to that team card. You can see their charts. You can click through any stats, any team that you want to look at head to head, as well as their season stats, what they're ranked in total. So we're going to click back to the main dashboard because that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And you can see here, the records, points per game. Then we have situational points per game. This is important because this looks at whatever situation they're in. So Hornets on the road, that's what it's showing, how well they do on the road. These are stats on the road. Magic are at home, so we're looking at how well they do at home. So if we look at a general average, it doesn't give us the full picture because certain players or certain teams, which includes players, play better at home versus the road. We got pace, offense, defensive rating, all that. We've got their general records here, but also we have against the spread. If you don't know what against the spread is, it's one of the most important things to pay attention to when sports betting. It's how a team is at beating Vegas's spread. So Vegas sets a spread for each game. Certain teams do well against the spread. Certain teams are terrible against the spread. And this is actually a good example because if you look here, the Hornets and the Magic have the exact same record. They're both 45 and 38. But if you look down here, the Hornets are really good versus the spread. They're 50 and 32 overall versus the spread, which is fantastic. That means Vegas, they have exceeded Vegas's expectations, and they have not been able to really adjust the line appropriately to their performance. But then you look at the Magic, they're 38 and 44 versus the spread. So they're not great versus the spread, but we also want to look at that situation again. It's important to look at the situation they're in. Against the spread, home or road, that's just looking at, for example, like we mentioned, the Hornets are on the road, so they're 24 and 17 against the spread on the road. And at home, the Magic are 20 and 22 against the spread on the road. So very important to look at. I also love looking at the last 10 games because that shows you really how they've been playing as of late. Also down here, we've got the lineups. These are going to show the top players with the most amount of minutes, and you're going to see these pills here. And what these pills show is how well these players have done versus the team they're playing. So the players in green, like LaMelo Ball, he actually does better. His season averages are 20.2 points per game, but he's 23.6 when he plays the Magic. Same with his rebounds. They're up a little bit. Assists are down by 0.2, basically the same. If they're in blue, that means that it's about the same as their normal average. And if they're in red, it shows you that they actually do worse versus this team. So super important to look at when you're betting player props, but also when you're betting teams. If you see the whole lineup in green, you're like, wow, this team plays really well versus their opponent they're facing. They match up really well and have proven it historically because they've done better versus that team. Then we look at the Magic. A lot of them are actually in blue, which means about the same, or in red. So the Magic players as a whole, especially their bench players, have not played as well versus the Hornets. We look at the Hornets, they have some players that have exceeded expectations and done better than their normal season averages versus the Magic. So that's something to take into consideration. Now down here, we've got the game analysis. It's a little write-up on the game. It tells you, what the game they're coming off of, what was the result. It tells you the spread, the over and under, some analysis on that, as well as the defenses, injuries, head-to-head. So in the last 8 meetings, the Magic lead 5-3. So the Magic have won 5 games, lost 3, and they are 1-0 against the spread. So Magic cover the spread in the last matchup. Now, from here on out, every single game gets tracked who covered the spread. So as we get more games, more data comes through, and we'll have huge historical coverage of against the spread. But also recent trends, the Hornets are only 1-3-1 against the spread in their last 5 games. They have 2 overs, 3 unders. So we scroll up here and we see, the Hornets have been really good against the spread, but of their last 5, they really have not been that great. They've struggled against the spread, especially, their last playoff game. So that's something to look at and pay attention to. Then we have what the spread's set at for that day. We've also got the totals and the money line. So if we wanted to add any of these to our bet slip at any point, we just click on them and we can generate the link for that bet and place it right into a book with the best odds. We'll get into odd shopping in a whole nother video, but odd shopping is super important and we can do it straight from the DataStreak platform. So then at the bottom, we can see their last 5 games and see the results, and if they covered the spread, if they went over or under. So you can see how they've been trending of late. But this is a great way to scan the board every single day and look everything over. And if you look this over, you can get a lot of information on the game, not just how those teams are doing. It's one thing to have an idea of how teams are doing, but it's impossible to keep track of how teams do versus each other. So this is where it comes into play. You can see that and really find edges from there. There's a lot of different tools in here to use. So that is how I use the NBA game dashboard. I use it to get a good look at the board as my starting point each day, so I can see injuries, how these teams have played against each other in the past, how the players on each team have played versus the team that they're facing, as well as against the spread data, as well as all the other stats that come into play when you're looking at a matchup. And then to summarize it all, I take a look at the write-up and see what it has to say, because there's always some extra things to think about in every single matchup. If you want to try this out, click the link in the description, create a free DataStreak account, go check out the NBA game dashboard along with all the other tools that I have talked about in my videos.